Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our forum for the Glenview Park District Board Commissioner. This forum will begin now. My name is Susan Swearingen. I am the Voter Service Chair for the League of Women Voters of Glenview-Glencoe, which also, as an aside, covers Northbrook. If you're not familiar with the League's history, the League of Women Voters was born from women defying the odds to publicly educate and advocate what was then, in the mid-1800s and early 1900s, a groundbreaking idea: expanding women's right for educational and professional opportunity in America. Recognizing women's right to vote was one part of that work and resulted in the 19th Amendment to the Constitution in 1920. The League was formed very shortly thereafter to advocate for education, healthcare, equality, clean environment, child labor laws, among several of those other issues, and to use the power of the vote to encourage legislators to adopt measures to address these concerns. And that work continues today. Many of the same issues. But the heart of the League's mission is voting rights, voter education, and voter turnout. We are now in our 84th year of supporting our area. The candidate forums and the other engagements of this type that we sponsor are opportunities for voter education, giving the public a chance to hear directly from candidates in an inclusive, nonpartisan way. Before today, all three candidates on the ballot for Glenview Park District Commissioner received invitations to participate in this forum, and gratefully they all accepted and are here for you tonight. They seek your vote for the two open positions on the Park District Board ballot. We hope you find this forum helpful as you make your plan for selecting who to vote for and then casting your ballot. Before we proceed, I'd like to thank our community partner, the Glenview Public Library, for hosting us in this space. The library steps up almost every election to provide free public civics programs like tonight's candidate forums. We're very grateful for that partnership. Just a couple other preliminaries before we turn it over to Paula. The forum is being recorded, and in a few days it will be posted on the League's website at lwvglens.org. You can view it in its entirety. And we ask that you please share that link with other voters that you come in contact with, family, friends, acquaintances. All the candidates signed the same ground rules to participate today and will be asked the same questions submitted by you, with the same amount of time to answer each question. If you have any further questions as the forum goes on tonight, please submit them in writing. Good, thoughtful questions from you make a good candidate forum. Raise your hand, and our ushers, Lillian and Sally, who will be closer to the front, who will look for you, and they will provide you with a piece of paper, with an index card and a pencil, and then collect those back from you. No questions will be asked from the floor. Written questions will be reviewed by our reviewers in the back here, Ann and Debbie. They're checking not for validity of questions. What they're checking for is redundancy, whether we can read the questions, for clarity, and to make sure it's a question for Park District Commissioner and not another office, that it's appropriate to this one. Sometimes we get multiple questions about the same issue, so they are free to consolidate those so that we can get that issue addressed without having to repetitively ask the same ones. We'll have time tonight for about 6 to 7 questions. We hope to get through as many as possible, but we apologize if we don't get to everybody's. One last thing, everyone has some views that are not the same as the next person. Out of respect for the candidates and your fellow audience, who also took time to be here, we ask that you hold your applause until the end of the forum and not interrupt or demonstrate support or opposition of any candidate. Now I'd like to introduce our moderator, Paula Lawson. Oh, sorry, who I just took her notes. So she's going to freeform here tonight. Paula is a member of the League of Women Voters of Glenview-Glencoe, and she's trained as a moderator. But because she lives in Glencoe, she is not a voter for this office and is there qualified to moderate tonight in an independent way. Paula was president of the League of Women Voters of Glencoe for 3 years before it merged with Glenview. She was also past president of the State League of Women Voters for 4 years, and she subsequently served as the State League's Issues and Advocacy Specialist for remapping district boundaries to address gerrymandering here in Illinois. Welcome, Paula. We're grateful to have you here with us.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sue. As Sue said, I am a member of the Glenview-Glencoe League of Women Voters, and I live in Glencoe, so I will not be able to vote for any of the candidates participating in this evening's forum. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties for any office. Providing forums is a major mission of the League, so that citizens can become better informed about the issues facing their community and to become better acquainted with candidates running for office. The format today is a candidate forum and not a debate. Candidates are expected to accurately represent the facts, and their responses reflect their own views and opinions. We do hope the candidates will speak to their goals and plans and refrain from speaking about another candidate or what another candidate has or has not done. The candidates will begin in alphabetical order with 90-second opening statements. They will then alternate the order in which they answer the questions for 90 seconds. After the question portion of the forum, each candidate will give a 90-second closing statement in reverse order of the opening statements. Members of the League will be acting as timers. Should a candidate exceed a time limit, I will ask them to finish their sentence and move on to the next candidate. The timers are right here, and they will show 30 seconds and a stop sign. To our audience, I would ask that those here in attendance to please turn off cell phones and other electronic devices. I would also ask that you be respectful and refrain from applauding or in any other ways demonstrating support or opposition of a candidate. Finally, to the candidates. They are Usman Ahmad, Steve Morgan, and David Tosh. I would like to say on behalf of everyone here how appreciative we are that you are not only willing to serve in office, but you agreed to be here tonight. So let's get started. Candidate Ahmed, you have 90 seconds for your opening statement.
Everyone can hear me? Thank you. So first of all, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for organizing this event and the library for hosting it. My name is Usman Ahmad. I am a Glenview resident now for almost 6 years. I'm born in Chicago and I grew up in Skokie. I have 3 daughters and I work as a physician. My goal here is to hopefully help show that I want to build a community further through the Park District. I think when I moved here, when you're new to an area, one of the first places you go to is the parks. And I remember going to Flick Park and just being blown away at how big it was and how many amenities it had. And then it was the summertime, so I remember going to Flick Pool and just being blown away by how many things it had. It had 2 different diving boards and had the time of my life with that. I think just the parks lets a person as a family grow into the community and helps strengthen the community by having places to go by. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Morgan, your opening statement.
Thanks, and also thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting us tonight. Really appreciate the opportunity to participate in this forum and talk about the Glenview Park District. My wife and I moved here in 2001 and proceeded to raise our 2 boys, now aged 23 and 24. Along the way, we took full advantage of and enjoyed all the benefits of the Park District, especially the many parks, 26 parks. I'm sure we visited most of those when they were younger to explore new equipment, but got to start enjoying the Park District almost as soon as we moved here. I began volunteering in the early 2000s when I joined the finance board at our church, spent about 5 years there, including the last 2 years as the chair of that board. Somewhere along the way, I joined the Glenview Youth Baseball Board, and turns out now I've been there more than 13 years. So here I am looking for maybe the next step, but along the way with GYB, I was treasurer for 5 years, and most recently, ending last November, I was the president of GYB, ending last November. And through that time, I've found it deeply gratifying to know that we're facilitating community baseball. This year in 2025, we've got nearly 900 families participating in GYB, and again, that's been enormously gratifying for me. Along the way, I've worked with and gotten to know several folks at the Glenview Park District and gained an appreciation for everything they do in our community. Just quickly, professionally, I'm sort of nearing the end of my career and looking at what's next for me, and I feel like a good next step would be the Glenview Park District, and I'm confident that I'd not only have the time, but the interest and enthusiasm to be a member of the Park District Board. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Tosh, your opening.
Yes, thank you for all being here in the League of Women Voters. Thank you. And I think we have some people from civics classes here from high school, perhaps. So thank you for being here as well. I'm not trying to get an autobiography of myself. I've been a village resident for about 53 years now. I was on at junior high school, maybe junior high school, and John Springman School for 29 years. And interestingly enough, this year I finished my 46th year of cafeteria duty. So I'm much relieved at that. After retirement, I taught kindergarten PE at Lions School for 4 or 5 years, and I moved up to the first, second, and third graders there. I went back to Springman in 2005 to assume my position I had before I retired as athletic director. The person who took my spot, she retired, so I went back and I knew where all the doors were. So I went back to school and did that for probably 9 or 10 years. I'm still involved in Springman and the intramural director for golf and tennis, and I've been doing that since I've been retired. During the years I was at Springman, I was actively involved with the Glenview Park District from officiating junior high school basketball games on Saturday morning from 8 to 12, and I did some outdoor league games, which is not always fun, on Wednesday night during the wintertime. I've officiated basketball. Scott Bazard and I have chaperoned about some junior high dances on Friday evenings. Stop already?
All right.
I got 2 more pages here.
Okay, thank you. And
Can I buy some of your times, Dr. Ahmed?
I had leftover time, I think 10 seconds.
Oh, Moses,
all right, now we'll start our questions. And the first question will go to candidate Morgan. He gets the first response. How do you manage to keep Park District activities, venue rentals, sports accessible to patrons while also keeping the Park District in good financial shape?
So I didn't get a chance to mention part of my background. Like I said, I've been in insurance now, maybe I didn't say that. I've been in insurance for over 30 years now, but prior to that, I've got a degree in accounting and spent the early part of my career in various accounting and finance jobs. And one of the first things I'd like to do if I do get appointed or elected to the board is to get a real good understanding of the finances of the Glenview Park District, understand where the money comes from. I'm aware of grants and different other sources of money that can come into the Park District. But one of my first goals would be, again, to understand the finances of the Park District, understand where the revenue comes from. I've got quite a bit of experience balancing budgets, making budgets, and then balancing budgets, both at our church and with GYB. So I think, again, that would be one of the first things I would want to do is again, balance all the services that we're providing and make sure we're adhering to our budget.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Tosh, your response?
Could you repeat the question?
Sure.
Not take my time away.
Yeah, no,
From these
it doesn't. How do you manage to keep Park District activities, venue rental, and sports accessible to patrons while also keeping the Park District in good financial shape?
Yeah, we have a lot of commitments from people, donations, and we also have 50-50 with the park, the user fees, real estate taxes, and we kind of budget our time with those things, and we also assume that people are using those facilities, and we make sure that they are enjoying what they're doing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And candidate Ahmad?
Yeah, I am a big believer in being a steward of, the taxpayer dollars. And so you would really, in my background as a physician, everyone knows the cost of healthcare is kind of going through the roof, so you're always kind of assessing opportunity cost while figuring out what's the best next step, and that's kind of how I would approach the park district as well. Learn all about the budget, and then figure out, work with everybody within the parks to see which one would be the best opportunity cost for the taxpayers to give them their biggest return on investment.
Okay, thank you. This next question goes to candidate Tosh first. What is your opinion on transitioning the Wagner Farm into a sanctuary so animals are not sold and killed?
Okay, in 1998, I believe we had a farm and fields referendum, and during that referendum, the thing was this: they were speaking out back that make it a working farm, not just growing potatoes and things like that, but it's a working farm. And I believe these kids that have the 4-H club, they know their animals are going to they don't have to sell their animals; they can keep them, because that's a question that's come up just recently at our board meeting, and. To make sure that people know that it was on the referendum, it's a working farm, and these kids do not have to release their farms or give up their animals to do it.
Okay, candidate Ahmad?
Could you just repeat it one more
Sure.
time?
What is your opinion on transitioning the Wagner Farm into a sanctuary so animals are not sold and killed?
I think if that's basically if the community is requesting that it become a sanctuary, then I'm for it. I don't necessarily have a strong opinion one way or another. I do understand that in farms, animals get slaughtered, and that's how farms work. But I think being sensitive to what the population wants and what children are exposed to matters as well. So I'm okay with that.
Okay. And candidate Morgan, what is your opinion on transitioning Wagner Farm to a sanctuary?
Yeah, first thing I would want to do is understand the mission statement of Wagner Farms, and like Commissioner Tosh mentioned, it's now a working farm, and need to make that distinction between a working farm and a sanctuary farm. I think we would then want to look at what the community wants. To your point, is understand what the community wants out of that farm, but again, understanding that it's a working farm now, and to transition it to a sanctuary farm, what that would mean for not only the community, but Wagner Farms.
Okay, thank you. Okay. The next question will go to candidate Ahmad first. What should be the park district's priorities for environmental sustainability?
Yeah, so it's environmental sustainability, excuse me, very important. So sorry, say the question again.
What should be the park district's priorities for environmental sustainability?
Okay, yeah, basically being able to incorporate and expand park services and doing maintenance and replacements such that they're environmentally friendly, so that they're self-sustaining. That also kind of leads back into the previous question of budgeting and stuff. If you do something that's sustainable, in theory you get more return on your investment, and that would go a longer way for taxpayer dollars too.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Morgan, what should the park district's priorities for environmental sustainability be?
I think my views on the environment and sustainability is I go back to the term think globally and act locally. So as a steward of our community on the Park District Board, I would want to make sure we're acting in the best way possible to use sustainable products and services as much as we can. I think to the point earlier, there's a cost-benefit analysis that always needs to be done with things like that. So I think I would also want to get to know what are some of the areas where we could increase sustainability with a positive cost-benefit analysis.
Okay, thank you. And candidate Tosh, what should be the park district's priorities for environmental sustainability?
It's kind of a top priority because we are moving away from gas-powered machinery out there for park services and moving to machinery that does not use gasoline. So it's one of our top priorities at the Park District.
Okay. Next question goes to candidate Morgan first. What experience do you have that will serve you as a trustee?
So I mentioned I've been a part of a couple volunteer boards, most recently and currently the Glenview Youth Baseball Board for the last 13 plus years. That's given me a great deal of experience working not only with the community, but also with the Park District. As I mentioned, I've gotten to know folks at the Park District, understand a little bit of how they work and what they do, and gained a real appreciation for that. But again, I think my experience on 2 boards, especially with GYB and the depth and the breadth of the community that we serve, would be a great background for the Park District.
Okay, and candidate Tosh, what experience do you have that will serve you as a trustee?
What experience, will you repeat the question, please?
What experience do you have that will serve you as a trustee?
Well, I've been on the board for 12 years, and I'm hoping to get my 13th year underway on April the 1st. And I think learning things and continue to learn things and work with the community on many topics and questions they might have. But I think the experience that I've had now and to continue on to have more experience.
Okay, and candidate Ahmad?
Yeah, I think my experience is a little bit different in that I'm mostly in healthcare. And so I do participate in a lot of different leadership and decision-making committees within the hospital system. I would use that to help, facilitate decision-making as a trustee as well. I think it does give me a different perspective on how to approach things. And I think it makes me a little bit more malleable to whatever the community needs.
Okay, this next question goes to candidate Tosh first. What do you like best about the Glenview Park District, and what would you change, add, or improve?
I like the team aspect of the Glenview Park District. Everybody on the Park District works together. We have 7 commissioners. There's not just one vote, but it's a lot of votes to come to a decision. We listen to the people in the community. We really have people that work on the park services, and I want to make sure we understand this. We get our pictures of commissioners in the pictures in the brochure, but the people who makes the Park District really work are the people, the gentlemen who cut the grass and pick up the garbage and line the fields. Those are the people that should get credit, and the staff people. We just were awarded CAPRA, which is the Committee for Park Service, Park and Recreation Services, and there's only nine park districts in the state of Illinois and 205 across the United States that receive this award. But it's not just because of the commissioners. The people behind the scenes, the staff, division directors, they all work together, work very hard. We're lucky to be involved as commissioners, and we have our pictures in the program, but I think they're the ones who should get the credit.
Okay, thank you. Now, candidate Ahmad.
Could you repeat it?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
What do you like best about the Glenview Park District, and what would you change, add, or improve?
I mean, I think the parks, they speak for themselves. I live between the Grove and Flick Park, and they're both walking distance, and I'm always just like kind of blown away at how meticulously thought out everything is. And that's for, those are the 2 parks I visit the most. But for everything else, I think when COVID hit in 2020, that summer, I went to Flick Park, just started playing pickleball. And I think Flick might have been one of the first parks in the area to have pickleball. And now, it just kind of shows the forward thinking of it. In terms of, just improving and hoping to expand on what's already so great about the Park District.
Okay, thank you. And candidate Morgan, what do you like best about the Glenview Park District, and what would you change, add, or improve?
Yeah, I think what I like best is the breadth and the depth of everything the Park District offers. Everything from parks, there's 26 of them, and I mentioned how much fun we had going to so many of those parks early on, to places like the Grove, Wagner Farm, the pools, the Park Center where I work out and look out on the parking lot and see a full parking lot and think to myself, this is just fantastic. And it has a way of uniting and bringing the community together, and I think I really value that. The Park District brings that to our community. It's kind of interesting, somewhat divisive times that we live in right now, and virtually everything that the Park District does is free of all of that. So I really value everything the Park District brings to our community. One of those things where I don't think I know what I don't know, and I'm not quite sure what I would change or improve, but everything I've seen in my time in Glenview has been very positive with the Park District, so can't think of anything to improve at this point.
Okay, thank you. The next question goes to candidate Ahmad first. And I'm going to combine these two because they're really similar. For residents who are of limited income, what can the Glenview Park District do to enable them to participate in the Park District programs? And should the Park District provide senior discount benefits such as silver slippers or a similar program?
So I think the Park District already has the leadership fund, if I'm not mistaken, and that was instituted around COVID time. And so there's already like a program in place that you can expand. In terms of for the seniors, yeah, I would agree with that. I think for myself, when you open the Park District brochure, there's all these programs for the kids, and you kind of don't know which one to put them in. And I was looking for myself for like a 30-plus basketball league, and I was like, oh, I feel like there's a gap here. But for seniors, yeah, certainly I think I would want to see, like the Park District maybe work with Glenbrook Hospital to help provide like classes or something to help with specific like healthcare needs that can, work with the Park District.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Morgan, for residents who are income limited, what can the Glenview Park District do to enable them to participate in programs? And should the Park District provide senior discount benefits such as silver sneakers or a similar program?
Yeah, I think in terms of helping out folks, that's something that we've focused on quite a bit with Glenview Youth Baseball here in the last few years. We've identified other third-party organizations, one in particular, it's called LVOG, League of Very Ordinary Gentlemen, which I think is a clever title for their organization. But anyways, we've partnered with them, and they've provided 10 to 15 scholarships for kids with, or families with some financial need to still play baseball here in Glenview. So familiar with that process, and I think I would look for other opportunities to either within the budget of the Park District or find alternative sources outside the Park District to enable those who wouldn't necessarily have the financial capabilities to participate in events to still participate in programs and activities.
Okay, thank you. And candidate Tosh, for residents who are income limited, what can the Glenview Park District do to enable them to participate in programs? Should the Park District provide senior discount benefits?
Yeah, the Glenview Park Foundation has been great about providing leaderships for kids, families who can't afford some of the programs we have. The Seniors Center, the East Wing of the Senior Center, which I'm a liaison between the Park District and the liaison through the Senior Center. They have doctors coming in occasionally to speak to the seniors. But I think this Glenview Park Foundation does not get enough credit for what they do and for a lot of people in Glenview. The playgrounds at the schools provided by the Glenview Park Foundation, but these leaderships are just terrific for families who can't afford some of the programs.
Okay, thank you. The next question goes to candidate Morgan first. How much input does the community have about projects like the Splash Landings renovation? What should the process be for public input?
That's a really good question. I'm trying to think what sort of information I've seen ahead of time with capital projects. I know it's certainly part of mailings, I would think. Is the question, what could we do to better inform people, or?
Yeah, what should be the process for public input?
Yeah, I think community outreach is certainly is one possibility where organize events like this, perhaps, where it's an open forum, people can come and talk. Yeah, I think community outreach, maybe doing surveys would be another way to identify. I know there's some potential capital projects coming up, but yeah, making sure the community is well informed and has the opportunity to debate the issue.
Okay, and then candidate Tosh, how much input does the community have about projects like Splash Landings renovation? What should the process be for public input?
Yeah, at our board meetings every month, we have a place for public comments, and also our committee meetings. Public comments, can they share their ideas and thoughts to us? We had a group the last meeting, and they had time for talk, about 3 minutes. They get time, and the staff responds to their questions. We don't have an open dialogue with the people who are coming to the meetings, but the staff responds to their questions so they get the answers they want to hear. But we do value the public a lot in what they're trying to say, because the demographics change in Glenview, and make sure we kind of are with a lot of people in different areas now that we didn't have before.
Okay, thank you. And candidate Ahmad, how much input does the community have about projects like the Splash Landings renovation, and what should the process be for public input?
Yeah, I think the Park District meets once a month. Once a month, they have a board meeting, and that's kind of what Mr. Tosh was saying, was that you can voice your opinions there. I think there might be maybe an avenue for more community outreach via a mailer that goes out, or in the spring brochures, upcoming capital projects, that maybe allows for feedback from the community back to the Park District.
Okay, thank you. And this will be the last question before the closing statements. And it goes to candidate Tosh first. Should every program run by the Glenview Park District have to have a positive return on investment?
I think you said a positive investment.
Should it have to have a positive return on investment?
We hope it does. If it doesn't, we have to start thinking about other programs. And that's why we ask for public comments and input to say if things are working the way they want them to work. And we have surveys that go out, and how do you feel about this particular program and what we're doing?
Okay, next to candidate Ahmad. Should every program run by the Glenview Park District have to have a positive return on investment?
Yeah, it depends how you measure, return on investment. If you're looking at strictly dollars, then it doesn't have to, right? I think when you look at Glenview as a community, you look at how many people are trying to move in, how competitive just like the real estate market is because of these programs that already exist. And so I think that answers that there's already a positive return on investment.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, candidate Morgan. Should every program run by the Glenview Park District have to have a positive return on investment?
I think within the confines of the overall budget, there should be opportunities for some programs to have perhaps a greater ROI, and other programs maybe have a smaller ROI. But again, within the overall budget, there should be a balanced budget for the Glenview Park District. But again, among programs, there can be some that are, hate to use the word profitable, but more profitable than others. And we've had something very similar with GYB. Some of our programs and activities are at absolute break even, and some we have a little bit of a surplus. So we try and manage a budget and then allocate funds accordingly. But again, within the confines of a budget, I think there should be ample opportunity to allow some programs to still exist without being completely a high ROI or profitable.
Okay, thank you. It's now time for our closing statements. Candidates, you have 90 seconds for your closing statements. And we'll start with candidate Tosh.
Yes, I'm going to make some comments I wasn't able to say the first time around. I was also a ranger at the golf course, playground leader at Cole Park in the summertime, making $77.50, I still have the contract, a week. I did nighttime security, driving around in a truck that looked very official, which I wasn't. They gave me a cell phone, which I didn't know how to use, and I finally figured that out. But I drive around and check things out, make sure the parks were okay. A few other things I've done is I officiated high school basketball for 38 years, and people yelled at me and all during those 38 years. I umpired Little League Baseball for 12 years. I served on the Village Zoning Board of Appeals for 11 years, and even lost a few friends with some of my decisions. I chaperoned 8th grade students to Washington, D.C. 52 times. I'm pretty familiar where most of the bathrooms are on the sites we visited. I chaperoned Springfield trip for 7th graders over 15 times. I've served on the Glenview Park District Board of Commissioners for 12 years, and I'm hoping to be able to continue to serve for another 6 years. I think one thing is important, whether you're coaching or teaching or officiating, I'm hurrying. I wanted people to say, why did you quit, not why don't you quit? Big difference. I wouldn't be standing up here tonight or sitting up here tonight taking your time if I thought I wouldn't be able to do a decent job for the citizens of Glenview for another 6 years. Thank you for being here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, candidate Morgan, your closing statement?
Yeah, thanks again for hosting tonight. Really enjoyed the opportunity to come out here and have this forum. This is probably a question I've thought of the most since this started to come up for me last fall. And I've landed on a few things that why I'd like to be a part of the Glenview Park District Board. First and foremost is the community that the Park District offers to the entire town of Glenview. And it goes from all the parks we have to the park center to the pools, the golf courses, all the different other sites that the Park District has. And our family has enjoyed and experienced over the years. It's played a significant role, I think, in uniting our community. And like I said a minute ago, in these somewhat divisive times, I think it's great to have so many outlets for the community to go to and enjoy all the parks and everything else. Next this is for me personally, I think volunteering is an important aspect of one's life. And I mentioned earlier how gratifying it's been for me to be a part of the Glenview Youth Baseball Board. So I definitely see the benefits on both sides of volunteerism, and I value that greatly. Lastly, I want to be a part of the Park District to preserve and enhance everything the Park District does, and I would be honored to be a Glenview Park District Commissioner. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Candidate Ahmad, your closing statement?
Thanks again for taking the time for everyone that came here and for the League of Women Voters for organizing this. I think, my approach to this has been that of consumers. When I sit next to these two gentlemen, clearly their pedigree is pretty good. But I think when I look back, I was doing my training in Georgia, and it was in a small town an hour south of Atlanta, and I had moved from Skokie to there. And they had listed it as one of the 100, some magazine gave them top 100 places to live in America, top 100 small towns. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So, my daughter's really young, and there's no parks. There's literally no parks. Everything was, either church-based or whatever. And I remember it just felt a little isolated. And, when I come back, I get a job here, and then I moved to Glenview. And it was July 3rd, and we went to Galleria Park and watched the fireworks. And I don't know, it just it made it like a natural place that I wanted to be at, amongst these people and this organization that just does so much for the broader community. So if you guys, I would hope for the opportunity to continue in that role.
Okay, thank you, and please join me in thanking the candidates for being with us tonight and for sharing their ideas and goals. And Sue has a couple closing remarks.
Let's once again thank Paula, our candidates, our representative here from Glenview TV, who is recording, which means the forum will be available to a much wider audience than is even here tonight. We also want to thank the library. I would be remiss as a League of Women Voter member if we didn't talk about the upcoming election. So just a few reminders. It's about 2 weeks, maybe a little bit more, until the election on April 1st. As someone mentioned to me recently, this is a critical window between St. Patrick's Day and April Fool's Day, so you won't be able to forget. Just want to encourage you to figure out your plan for making sure that you cast a ballot by April 1st. We do have a couple weeks, but one of those weeks, if you have children in school or if you're affiliated with a school in any way, is spring break. So that does take a little bit of the time out of the schedule. Online registration, if you're not registered yet, or if you know anybody who is still waiting to do that, closes this Sunday, March 16th. But don't forget, in Illinois, which is a very voter-friendly state, you can register as late as 6:58 on Tuesday, April 1st. You can register on the day that you vote. Couple just different restrictions there versus the very easy online that's available to you now. You also, speaking of voter-friendly state, you have 3 options to vote. You can vote by mail. You can vote, or you can early vote, which starts Monday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, or you can vote in person on April 1st. But between those 3 choices, we always say there's no excuses. So make sure that we just ask that you think about your plan and then vote your plan. But whatever that plan is, make sure that you take advantage of your right and privilege to vote. So again, thank you very much, and we'll call it an evening.